All right, cool. So we've got our daily chart here. Go ahead, we'll throw a blank clean chart on here so that we can start from scratch. All right, so I got a couple requests from you guys for some indicators to try. So a few of these I've already done in other videos. So I don't know. I'll go ahead and try them at first, but we may move into something different. We'll just kind of see. So go ahead. I'm going to move these over to my other screen so that you can see what I'm doing. All right. So the first indicator we want is a baseline. Well, actually, we want ATR first, right? So let's go ahead and throw that on there. And I like to use this ATR pips indicator. I think you guys may have seen this. If not, it's pretty cool. It makes it to where you can, it just lists what the ATR is and doesn't take up like part of your indicator window, which makes it really nice. So it'll show you your pips up here for the ATR. Not sure why it's showing 0 pips, probably because, there we go. Okay. So it'll show our ATR up here in the corner. That just gives us a little bit more room down in the indicator section. I'm going to go ahead and move this down so we have a little bit more room. And move this over here for now. Okay, so the first indicator we want then is a baseline indicator, right? So let's go ahead. We're going to throw a couple on here, actually. So I like to use the whole moving average or the HMA. I'm sure there are other better ones out there. That's just kind of the one I've played around with already. So we'll go ahead and use that one for today. It's actually called, there's another indicator name called Super Trend, which is the same thing. So we'll go ahead and add that on there. Actually, maybe Mega Trend. Yeah, Mega Trend indicator. Okay. So, I think maybe we'll go ahead and we'll try 50 on there for one of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a whole moving average crossover. So we're going to use 50 as the baseline. And then we will add another one and use, I'm thinking maybe we will do 7 on that one. Okay, so these are kind of hard to see here with them just starting. So our 50 HMA actually won't start showing up here until we have 50 candles. I probably should have loaded more tick data, but that's all right. We'll just start from here and then we'll go ahead 50 candles and see once we get all the indicators on here. All right, so we've got our baseline indicator on there. We're going to use 50 as the trend, and then we can adjust it as we go if we end up not liking it or whatever. So basically the rules for that are going to be anything above 50 is going to be a long, and anything below 50 will be a short. So of course we want to wait for our other signals, but that's the main use for our baseline. Now, I've always kind of done it this way. I don't know if you guys have seen any of my other videos, but I actually used a 200 moving average in one of them. I've been told by a lot of you that that's too slow in Forex, so that's why I'm going to go ahead and try 50 today, and we'll see what happens there. So let's see here. Confirmation. So someone wanted me to use WAE for confirmation. Now this one's also a volume indicator. However, I do see how it could be used for confirmation as well. So we will go ahead and give that a shot since someone requested it. Okay, so we'll add. Okay, so I'm going to turn the sensitive sensitivity on this down to, let's go to 100. See what that does. Oh, I don't have my line showing here. Huh. Should be showing. Maybe it won't show until we get going. Maybe that'll take a minute to show up, just like our 50 HMA. All right, so we'll use that for our first confirmation indicator. Let's see. So now we need a volume or a volatility indicator, right? So we're going to add a volatility indicator since we technically have a volume indicator right here. Let's see, what should we use for a volatility indicator? Someone wanted to use volatility quality 0 line, but I always use that one. So I'd like to maybe see if we can find something else. Let's see here. And if any of you guys have any that you'd like to see, go ahead and chime in. If I've already got them downloaded, I can go ahead and add them to the chart. Let's use synergy range factor, unless one of you guys come up with something else. Here. Okay, so here's synergy range factor. Okay, now this one takes a bit to show up too, I believe. Let's see if we can get it showing up here. There we go. Okay. So that one takes a few minutes to show up, but as you can see, we're getting our moving average now on Waddah Attar, and then now our range factor starting to show here. So now range factor is on default. I did change Waddah Attar to 100. So now the dead zone is another area where you can change Waddah. You can make the dead zone a little bit smaller, which is basically the space between like the base and this moving average. We'll leave it at default for now. I haven't really changed that in the past, so it seems to work okay. So we'll go ahead and do that. And let's see. So for our second confirmation indicator, so actually I'm going to use our second confirmation indicator as the 7 whole moving average that we put on here. So we'll use Waddah Attar for our first. We'll use range factor for our volatility, and then our second confirmation will be, the shorter whole moving average up here. So let's see here. Okay, so we've got. So now we just need our exit indicator, right? We've got our ATR, we've got our baseline, we've got our first confirmation, volume volatility, second confirmation. So yeah, now all we need is an exit indicator. So now the exit indicator, we're actually going to play with a few things here. So I want to try using this whole HMA as an exit indicator, but we may actually add another time frame on there because I don't know if 7's going to be too fast for an exit. So we're going to add another one on here and see. I mean, we can always get rid of it if we decide it's too slow, but we'll see how it does. I'm going to add a 21 on here. Now, there's no particular reason I'm choosing these numbers. I've I mean, I've seen strategies in the past that have used them, so that's kind of why they're coming to my head, but there's no reason in particular I'm using them. So, okay, so let's go ahead and type up our rules here so there's no questions as to what our rules are. Actually pull them up in Notepad here. All right, so I hope all this is making sense to you guys so far. Okay, so let's see here. So our first rule, our first confirmation is going to be the 7 HMA crosses the 50 HMA. Our second rule will be our Waddah Attar. If we're buying, it will have a green bar over the moving average. If we're selling, it'll have a red bar over the moving average. So we're going to do this long, and then we'll create a separate set of rules for short. Okay. So crosses up over 50 HMA. All right. So we will have a green bar of our moving average. And when I say the moving average, I'm talking this line that's here on the indicator, not our whole moving average that's on the chart. And then for three, we're going to have our range factor has to be outside of the blue line. So you guys can kind of see, let me go forward a little bit. Okay, so you can see right here that there's two blue lines on this range factor. So the theory is, well, the way this indicator was created is that supposedly when this purple line is in between these two blue lines, you're ranging. So we don't want to enter a trade when we're in between those lines. We want to be outside of the lines. Now, I have seen some people wait. So I've seen some people enter trades where they wait, if they're going long, they wait until it crosses up over this blue line. I've also seen people that have gone long when it crosses from below and it's headed up over this blue line. That's a little bit more risky in my opinion. So we're going to do longs when it crosses up over this top line here. So okay. Okay, and then we're actually I have these. We probably should have a rule before one. I gotta rename them, or renumber them. But if price is above, let's do this. Price must be above our 50 whole moving average in order to take a long. And then for our exit, so this is where I'm not really sure. We're going to mess around with this and see, but it's either going to be our 7 HMA crosses the 50, crosses back over the 50, or our 21 HMA crosses back over the 50. And this we're just gonna have to kind of see. All right, so now this is just coming from the top of my head. So I don't know if this is actually gonna work or not, but we will give it a shot and see. And you guys can still hear me, right? Cool. All right, sounds good. So now our short, let's actually, I forgot about our short rules. So let's go ahead and make our short rules. Okay, so price must be below the 50 HMA. That's our baseline, like VP talked about in the last video. We want, for our first confirmation, we want 7 HMA to cross below our 50. And then we want a red bar above the moving average in the moving average. And then for our volatility indicator for range factor here, we'll do purple line. We'll cross below the bottom blue line. Okay, and then for our exit, again, we'll use, we're gonna, have to play this one by ear and see. We'll either do, actually, this is gonna be the same thing. It'll just cross the opposite way. Okay. So that'll be our exit. So let's go ahead, give it a shot here. So now, I know a bunch of you guys use FX Blue, which is fine. It just makes it a little bit harder for money management. Okay, so sorry, I'm looking at the chat box here while I'm talking. All right, so take into consideration, is it Radu? Radu? I've talked to you on Discord before, but I'm not sure how you pronounce your name. So do we take into consideration the one candle rule when entering? Asking because I have 2 instant rules, crossover rule 1 and 3. Okay, so my thoughts on this are that I'm thinking that this 7 HMA is going to happen first, just because it's pretty fast, and we can actually look at the chart here. You guys probably can't see that chart. I probably got to zoom in. Can you guys see the candles okay, or do you need me to zoom in more? Okay, cool. So looking at the chart here, let's kind of look at this first entry and see what happens. So in this case, our 7 HMA, now this is just the 20, what is this? The 21 right here, but the 50, of course, is going to be slower. So we actually, we would have crossed up faster over the 50. So it looks like we're crossing before we're actually moving up the, the Waddah Attar. So I'm thinking what we'll do is we'll use our first confirmation is the 7 crossing over, and then as long as Waddah Attar happens within a candle of this cross up, which in this case that would have happened because we have a cross up here, and then the next candle we have Waddah Attar cross, so we would enter this candle right here essentially, which would be perfect. So we'll do it a candle rule with that 7 HMA cross. Okay, zoom in once more, Troy. All right, we'll do that as long as it doesn't make it too big for everyone else. Let me know, guys, on the computer if that's too zoomed in for you, and I'll zoom back out. So yeah, to answer your question, let's go ahead and do it. We'll do the 1 candle rule, and we'll make it where this first indicator, the 7 HMA crossing, will be the first indicator to cross, and then as long as WAE happens within a candle of our second, or of that confirmation, first confirmation, then we'll go ahead and enter the trade. We'll see how that works. Okay, so I'm going to leave our rules up right here. Actually, they may go away. So we'll see. Yeah, they're going to go away. So I'm going to drag them over here onto my other screen so that I can see them. Okay, so let's wait for this. So I'm going to go forward on the candles so that we can wait for this 50 HMA to show up before we start trading. We actually, looking at it, we may want to use this 24 HMA. Okay, so here's our 50, and I'm actually we're gonna change the colors on this so that we know which one's which. We're gonna make the 50 white. So we're gonna make both these white. Okay, so there's our 50 HMA. We're gonna make the 7 green. So we'll just make it easier for us to distinguish which one is which. Okay. So we'll make the 7 green here. Whoops, it's 2 different colors of green. And then we will make the 21 blue. That works. Okay, so our 21 HMA is blue, our 7 HMA is green, and then our 50 HMA is white. I'm going to turn off my Discord notifications here. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. As you can see, I get a lot of Discord notifications. Oh, jeez. Apparently, Bitcoin must be pumping because my crypto base scanner is freaking out here, which isn't helping. Okay. There we go. Now we won't get any more Discord interruptions or crypto base scanner interruptions. All right. So, so now my thoughts on this, and this is kind of the way I do it when I'm trying to create an algo, is in this case, if you remember, I set a couple rules that we were unsure about as far as the exit goes. So what I'm going to do is we've got to, what I'm going to do is we're going to use the 50 for now. Let's set a rule for this first go through for the 2 years to use the 50 HMA. Let's scratch the 21, and then if we decide it'll work better. Well, no. So for the exit, we're going to use the 21 HMA. So the 7 must cross the 21. Okay. That'll be for our exit. And then for our baseline, we'll use the 50. So the 7 must cross above the 50. Let's do that, and let's see how that works. We can always change that later, but let's do that. Crosses. Okay. So that's going to be our exit. So the 7 will cross back over the 21. And then for our entrance, the 7 will have to cross the 50. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started now that we've got all of our indicators showing. So some of you guys were saying that on Soft4FX, your indicators don't show up right away. Usually it's because it requires a certain amount of candles for those to load. So like in this case, our 50 HMA, it didn't start showing up until here. And that's because it required us to have, 50 candles for that to start loading. Same thing with our range factor. It required us to have a certain amount of candles back before it could start loading data. So usually that's the case when your indicators don't show and you just have to go forward a bunch of bars or whatever to get those to show up. So I'll usually set up, like, I'll do a 2-year test and I'll set up basically like a 6-month extra, time frame on that to allow for my indicators to start loading before that 2 years starts. So, okay, so I know we're below the 50 here. We're going to start with our next signal as far as entering the trade or whatever. So you can use tick by tick data. I'm just going to use next candle. Faster that way I can control it easier. So that's how we're going to do it for this test. Okay, so we had, let's see, so we had our 7 HMA cross our 50 right here. That's our first signal. We need a green of this Waddah Attar though. We've already got our purple range factor crossing the blue. So we want to see within the next candle, which we do. Next candle, we get that cross of the Waddah Attar. So we're going to go ahead and place a buy here. So we're going to do 2 buys. One that we will exit at 1x ATR, and then another that will let run. So I'm not going to use risk management on this. We're just going to use, it's a $10,000 account, so we'll use a mini lot. Now, if you were doing this in real life, of course, you would want to factor in what your stop loss is going to be, everything like that, to figure out what your position size is. And maybe I'll do another video as far as position size goes in the future, so you guys can see how to do that. For the case of this video, we're just going to do a mini lot. So our stop loss we want at 66 pips. So this is 1x our ATR right here. So we would want this multiplied by 1.5 to get our stop loss. And then our take profit for this first position is going to be 44 pips. So that's going to be our first position. And then our second position will have no take profit because we're going to move it to break even. And then we will, once we hit that first take profit, we'll move it to break even. And then we'll just let it run until we get an exit. So there's our second position. So now if you look in here on trades, we should have 2 positions. We've got both with the same stop loss, and then one with our 1.5x ATR take profit, and the other one with just an open take profit. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what happens. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I want to do next bar. Go. Okay, so I think we actually already hit our first take profit here. Let's see, where's my trades? Here they are. Yep. Okay, so we already hit our first take profit. So now we're going to move this one to break even, which is that button right there. That'll move our stop loss to break even. And then we're going to let that ride until we get an exit. So we're either going to stop out or we're going to hit our exit indicator, which again is that 7 crossing back over the 24. Oops, I don't want to do that either. Okay, so right here, our 7 crossed our 24. So we're going to go ahead and close that trade. So we'll just do close all, and that closed our trade. So now we will. So now one thing I've thought about on this, and this is kind of going off on a tangent here, but I've thought about using a strategy where, like, if you get a candle, like maybe you have another HMA here that's maybe like a, I don't know, like a 14 or something, or maybe even you use the 21, and if you get a candle that bounces off of it, you use it kind of like a continuation indicator where you'd enter a new position. That's getting more complicated, which this video we're just kind of setting up the strategy, and then assuming it goes okay, then maybe we'll add some more stuff into it in the future. But that's just something to keep in the top of your head. So we will wait for our next signal. We'll see if we had some sort of, continuation indicator here. Maybe we could have got more out of that move. But okay, so here's our first short signal, right? So we've got our 7 HMA crossing over our 50 HMA. We don't have confirmation on Waddah Attar yet, so we'll see if that happens, which that didn't happen in our next candle. So according to the rules we set, we don't want to take a trade here because it didn't happen within the next candle. Now, when you're setting up your strategy, I mean, if you want to make that a rule, make it a rule. If you don't. But the point is that you always want to be consistent and you always want to have it written down. So because we wrote that rule down and that's what we chose, we're going to go ahead and follow it. So we're not going to take a short here. We're going to wait for our next signal to take our next trade. Okay. So price didn't cross up over our 50 there, so we didn't actually get a trade. It just kind of bounced off that 50 and went back down. Okay, so our 7 HMA right here is where it crossed over, right? And we've got price above our 50. We don't have it in our WAE yet, so we will see what happens. So it looks like our next candle, it is going up above the line there, just barely, but we're still ranging inside of our synergy range factor. So we wouldn't want to take that trade. Okay, so we have our 7 HMA crossed down below the 50 here. We've got price below the 50 HMA, but our range factor is still ranging. So I want to take that. Okay, so we got our 7 HMA here, but we don't have confirmation on the other indicators yet. We do here, though. We've got confirmation here, but our range factor is still ranging. So what I like to do is kind of keep these trades in mind here on where trades I didn't hit my confirmation, but it would have been a good trade. Like this one right here, for example. We had our cross here, but we didn't have confirmation on our other indicators until we hit this point here. But our crossover happened a long time ago. So going by the one candle rule, we couldn't use that, that signal, but it would have been a good trade and got us pips. So I like to try and keep these in the back of the mind. Maybe note them down somewhere on your your notepad or whatever, so that you remember them after. Because after we run this test, we ultimately want to go through and see maybe where we could refine it and allow us more trades without getting us in trouble and taking too many trades to where we start losing. So this first run through for me usually is just a rough draft, basically. Well, a rough draft. We want to, of course, refine that after, but in order to get a consistent testing result and find out if this works over the long term, we want to run it for the whole 2 years with the same rules. We don't want to change rules in between that time period, because we don't know if we're just having, trades that aren't happening right now or a swing of bad trades. We technically have one, the only one we put in, but we have not been, we haven't taken some that we could have won. So, so we'll just keep chugging here. Okay, so we have our cross here. We've got price below our 50. We've got our Waddah Attar right here, which happened on the same candle, but our range factor hasn't crossed out yet. So we'll see if that happens on our next one, which it does. So we'll go ahead and take a sell trade here. So see, our ATR is still the same. So we'll go ahead and take one position. Take profit of 44 pips. We'll sell. And then we want another one without a take profit. We'll sell there. Okay, so we should have 2 trades open here now, which we do. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. So we did hit our first take profit. I forgot to close out of our trade here. So, or I'm sorry, break even our trade. So we'll go ahead and do that. Break even. And then minimize this. And we'll run until we get an exit, which happens right there where our 7 crossed our 24. So we'll go ahead and close that. And we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so if you look here, price technically closed above that 50, it looks like. We'd have to, I can't really zoom in anymore, so it's hard to see. So, but none of our other, we didn't have confirmation on the other indicators anyway, so we don't need to really worry, which it went against us. So, okay, so we have price crossover, but we still don't have our other indicators aligning. Okay, so we have price below our 50 moving average, and then our range factor is giving us a signal. However, Waddah isn't yet, which it never did. Okay, so here we have price above the 50, but we've got our signal technically here on Waddah Attar, but we don't. I'm just going to start calling this WAE because I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. Okay. So we'll go ahead and keep going here because we don't have a confirmation from our range factor yet. Okay, so here we go. We've got price close below our 50. We've got our signal here and we've got our signal here. So we can go ahead and enter a trade here. This one is going to be 21, so 63 pips for our stop loss, 42 for our take profits. To sell and put this one at a 0 take profit. So one thing I actually just thought about with Soft4FX, I always forget because it defaults to lots. You can actually set up risk percentage, so it will figure out your position size for you, which is really nice. FX Blue doesn't do that, and so I forget about it because I mainly started using FX Blue until I moved to this. But you can set for it to figure out your risk for you automatically. So, okay. Okay, so we got stopped out here. As you saw, we didn't get an exit before we got stopped out. We, it was right here below this 21. It hadn't quite crossed over. So had we got an exit signal there, we could have got out before we got stopped out, but didn't happen. So we got stopped out on that one. So, but we do have another trade here. We've got a long trade with our signals going both ways there. So we'll go ahead and enter that. So we're going to be, let's see, what is that? 72 pips for our stop loss. 48 for our take profit. Okay. There we go. So we hit our take profit on that one. So go ahead and break even our trade here. See what happens. Again, we're waiting for an exit or to hit our break-even point, which can't really even see if we have an exit right there. We're going to say no because it's too close to call anyways. Okay, so right here, if you guys can see that, we technically have an exit. So we'll go ahead and close this trade. I don't like closing it there because I honestly think it's going to go up, but that's what our rules say. So, Troy, yes, it is difficult to test a whole algo at once. You usually want to test your indicators and find your, good indicators first. So, I mean, we are doing it the hard way, but I'm just trying to throw it into one video. So that's what we're doing. Yeah, I see it went up higher. Figured it was going to. Yeah, see, that would have been a nice move, but that's how it works. Okay, so we've got a cross here, but we don't have any other signals. Okay, we do have a cross back up over here. Our range factor showing a signal, but our WAE isn't. So let's see what happens. So I don't know if you saw that, but WAE just looks like it repainted right there. So if you look at this bar right here, it's below the moving average. Now it could be this moving average calculating. Let's add our indicator, our data window up here. Okay, so let's see, here's our, okay, so right here, it looks like value 3 is our moving average line. So we're at, where are we, 261 right there and 276 there. And this volume line is at 266. So let's see which one moves. If this volume line moves, that means it's repainting. If this moving average line moves, I think it's just recalculating. So let's see what happens. But one of those moved, and that is not cool. Okay, right there. So it looks like it was actually, let's see, this. So was it 266 before? Right here. 269. So yeah, so this volume right here, this volume bar repainted. It looks like to me at least. Interesting. Okay. I'm not liking that, but we will go on. So now there's this internal struggle I have with repainting indicators, right? And that's that if an indicator, like in our case, repaints, right, to where we don't have a signal here, but we do have a signal here, does that matter if we take the trade and it's a winning trade? It obviously matters if we take the trade and it's a losing trade because we can blame the indicator, right? Whether it was going to be a losing trade or not. If we take the trade and it's a winning trade, then we say it doesn't matter. But does it really matter? I don't know. You guys will have to decide that for yourselves. According to this, though, we have a signal. So we're going to go ahead and set a buy. Let's see here. So 43 pips. So we want, see, what is that? 22 on top of that. So 65. We can't really do a half a pip. And then this one will be 43. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and buy here. And get rid of our take profit here. Okay, see what happens. Okay, so we hit our first take profit here. So I did miss that by a candle or so, but that's all right. It didn't go back down. So we'll go ahead and break even here. So this is one thing that I like about a simulator, right? Is that it allows you to account for human error in your trading. So if you're using an EA, right? It would have exited for us automatically. Well, it would have moved us to break even automatically when that hit. But we're trading manually, which you're not always at the computer, or sometimes you forget a signal or something like that. And so you may not move your trade right away to break even. Now, that next candle could have gone down and hit our stop loss, and we would have been screwed when we could have had a break even exit. We didn't. We got lucky, but that's one thing that is kind of cool about a simulator is that in real trading, you're not always going to be perfect either. So a simulator helps take that into account. Okay, so it looks like we're touching, but we never actually cross right there. There we go. Now we cross. So we're going to go ahead and close this trade and wait for the next signal. Okay, so now we have price below our 50, but I'm actually going to move this a little bit so we can see. So I can keep this down here. There we go. Okay. All right, but we don't have a signal from our other indicators. So go to the next one. Still don't have a signal. This is, I mean, that technically is touching, but we don't have a signal from over here. So, which now we do. But so here we go. Here's another situation where it looks like WAE repainted. So we've got our two red volume bars here with the third one there that's not crossing the line. Now, if you look at it, we've got 2 red volume bars here, and both of those 2 are crossing the line. Let's see what level this is at. So this indicator data window right here, this gives you all of the numerical values for your indicator outputs, or your buffers, or what they're called on indicators. So right here, if we hover over this, let's see, as you look at this, this gives you our value for this bar, which is this value 2 right here. It's this right there. So 797. So if we back up let's back up a candle and see what that one says. Right here. Okay. So now that one says 259. So yeah, it looks like it repaints. Again, you have to decide if that matters or not. Let's see. Daniel asks, can a volume indicator be tested on its own, or does it have to be tested with your confirmation indicator? It would make sense to test it with your confirmation indicator. I mean, I guess you could test it on your own, but then you would technically be using the volume indicator as your confirmation indicator at that point. So, I mean, like in this case, we're using our volume indicator as a second confirmation indicator. And then we've got range factor as our volatility indicator. I know you guys have probably seen me rant on this on Discord, but volume and volatility are not the same thing. VP says they are, but they are not. I don't think he meant it for them to be the same thing in the way he phrased it, but they are definitely different. And so in this case, we're using it as a confirmation indicator. So if you're going to use it as a volume indicator, then you would probably want another confirmation indicator. Otherwise, you're kind of defeating the purpose, because a volume is mainly to confirm your confirmation indicator. That makes sense. And where to find, when to go. There it is. Okay, so we technically need to decide whether we take this trade or not, because I guess we still didn't have our signal at the second candle because our range factor wasn't crossing at that point anyway. So I'm making a big deal about nothing. Okay, so we have price close here above the 50, kind of. I guess it depends what side of the candle you look at. I tend to not take ones that are that close, just because I don't know if it actually closed above that 50 or not. Okay, so we do definitely have price closing below the 50 here, though. So that's our first candle, right? We don't have confirmation from our other 2 yet, though. So we'll wait one more candle, and we have confirmation from both. So we'll go ahead and enter our short, which will be, what is that? 98 pips. My math may suck, so forgive me if this isn't right, but take profits of 0. Okay, so now we got our 2 positions open down here. I'll actually drag this up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, we almost hit our stop loss right here. We missed it by about a pip, it looks like. But we do have an exit here. So we're going to go ahead and exit, because we have an exit. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know if I can make this bigger or not. I don't think I can. No, I can't. But on my screen, it definitely looks like it's crossing. So we're going to go ahead and close all our trades here, because we have our exit. So this is kind of where VP was talking on his last video, where this exit indicator will save you from your take profit indicator a lot of the time. So we technically could have hit our take profit or our stop loss here if this candle would have gone up like maybe a pip higher, but we didn't. And it ended up that when we entered on the next candle, we were higher than our stop loss. So it actually saved us money in this case, which a lot of the time, if you're using your exit indicator right, and if you have the right exit indicator, that will happen. So it looks like now we have, let's see, we've got price back below the 50. We've got a signal here and we've got a signal here. So we can go ahead and take another trade. So we've got, let's see, 93 pips here. And 62. Right there. Okay. Okay, so we took profit on our first trade here. So we'll move this one to break even. And wait for an exit signal or to hit our break-even point. Okay, right there. We have our exit signal, so we'll go ahead and close all these. Okay, so now we have price back above the 50, but we don't have confirmation on any of the others. So we won't take that trade. Wait for our next signal. Ooh, that's a big candle. Okay, there's our next signal. I really don't like taking trades there with those big candles, but we're getting a signal, so we'll do it. So 54. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear my dogs. They're being jerks. I wish I could get them to stop for the video, but they don't like to listen to me. So let's see. So we've got 54 here. So what is that? 81. We'll say that's good. Hopefully that's right. So so I missed it. We actually had an exit right here. Right there. Okay, so we have our exit here, so we want to close out of our trades. So as you can see, that saved us from hitting our stop loss there. However, I think it's going to turn back and go the opposite way, which it did. So okay, so now we got price going back above our 50, but we don't have confirmation from the other two yet. So now we got price back below our 50, but we don't have confirmation. As you can see, the market's just kind of whipsawing here. We don't really have a good confirmation either way, which we don't want to be trading in this stuff anyway. So okay, so we can't really take this trade because if you see, we have this red candle here. So price technically closed above the 50 here. So this would be our next candle, but we don't have a confirmation from the range factor. So this next trade we probably could have got in, but we didn't have our signal lined up. Okay, so now we got our cross down there and our two signals here. So go ahead and take our trade, which we're at 65 and 43. Okay, so we hit our first take profit. So we're going to break even. And there we go. We've got a cross right here. I may actually go the other way, but it looks to me like it crosses. So we're going to close out. Okay, so we got price above our 50 now, but we don't have any of our other indicators. working for us. Okay, so we've now got our price below our 50, but our indicators don't line up until a candle too late. So as you guys can see with this baseline, it really cuts down on the number of trades you take. However, you are taking higher quality trades. So okay, so it looks like we have a close below the 50 there. But we bounced right back up for the next candle. Yeah, this market is just chopping out on us right now. Yeah, this market's garbage right now for signals. That's okay. We don't want to be trading it anyway. Okay, so we've got a signal here. So we can go ahead and sell. We're what, 68 for this? Okay, so we closed our first position. So we will move our break even, and we hit our break even. So okay, so we got price above 50 there, but we don't have signals on our others. Okay, price back below 50. We have signal on range factor, but not on WAE. Okay, so we did, whoops, I don't know what I'm doing there. We did get a signal on the next candle here. So we can go ahead and figure this out. So it's going to be 81 pips for our stop loss, 4 for our break even. Yes, Mike, the 50 is the base. The white one is the base. So we're using the 50 as the baseline. One of our confirmation indicators is that seven moving average crossing over the white line, and then for our exit, it's the 7 moving average is the green one, and then our exit is the crossover of this blue moving average, which is a 21 moving average. These are whole moving averages though, so they're a little bit faster than regular moving averages, which is why I'm using them. And okay, so as you can see right here, we have an exit. We haven't hit our stop loss yet, but we're going to close out because our exit indicator said to. So in this case, we hit about break even with our exit. I don't really think we lost anything there. Okay, so we've got a signal here, but we don't have a signal from the other two. Which indicator is what, Anderson? Are you talking about the moving average lines? Because that's Megatrend, which is HMA. Same thing. Okay. So we have a price crossover here, but we don't have, we did get confirmation on the next candle though. So we got confirmation of our WAE and our range factors. So we'll go ahead and enter a trade here. So we're, what is that, 68? Okay, so we hit our take profit there, so we'll break even on that one. And why is my chart not scrolling out here? Can't see anything. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I'll zoom back in, guys. Okay, so we have a crossover right here of our 7 and 21. So we'll go ahead and close out. Yes, Mike, that's correct. 7 and 21 cross is the exit. Okay, so we technically have a cross right there and prices below the 50. We've got a signal here, but we don't on WAE. So, which we didn't get at the next candle either. This market's just chopping around here. Okay, so now we got a cross back below, but we don't have confirmation on our other indicators, which we never got because it just, okay, price back above, and we've got confirmation on both these. So we'll go ahead and take a buy here. So we're at, what is this, 83? 55. Okay, so we hit our first take profit. So we'll break even and wait for an exit, or we hit our break even at that point. Okay, so let's see. So we moved back below the 50 here and we got a cross. I believe it's on that candle. Yeah, it was on that candle. We've got signal here, but we don't have it on our range factor. Next candle. Ooh, I can't tell if that crosses over or not. That is very hard to see. Move this up higher. So this is where your data window comes in handy, right? Because we can see here that on right here, actually we'll add this. Okay, right here, which is the tip of that, we did crossover. So if you look at this data window here, this is the value of that line. So our lower limit is negative 0.4, our upper limit is 0.4. So if we put this right on that crossover, we are at negative 0.4077. So we did cross over there. So we'll go ahead and take that trade. Some of these it's really hard to see, and it's probably kind of risky that way too, because It's not as great of a signal, but it's a signal nonetheless. So I'm not sure why we didn't hit our take profit here. It looks like we were maybe like a pip off or something, I'm guessing. Okay, but we got our crossover here, so we'll go ahead and exit out of these. So we did make a little bit of profit, but not much. Okay, so we never really got a cross of this 50, so okay, that was a definite cross of our 50, and we have a signal here on WAE, but we still don't have one on range factor, so we won't take it. Okay, so we have a cross there, but no signal. Okay, there we go. So we have a short signal here. So we'll go ahead and move this up to 85. That's right. It's here. I know there's an indicator that I can put on my screen, but I just haven't downloaded it yet. So don't judge me. 87. 88. Geez, we are just barely missing those take profits on those last two trades. Oh, but we had an exit signal back there, right? Yep, we did. So we'll go ahead and close out. Okay, so we don't have a signal on the others though. Okay, so we got short signal there. No, that one definitely doesn't cross. I can tell that just by looking at it. But we still have one more candle though, which the next candle it crossed. So go ahead and take that. Okay, so we hit our first take profit there, so we'll break even. And right there's our exit. So we'll go ahead and close out. Okay, so we've got price above here, price closed above here, but we don't have a signal on our other two. Okay, price below, we got a signal on WAE, but not our range factor. Okay, so we're at the end of our simulation there. So let's take a look and see how we ended up. Okay, so I'm going to make this bigger so we can see it. Okay, so here are our trades. Here's our stats here. So, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to post these, probably a link to these in the description on the YouTube channel, maybe on the Discord so that everyone can see them. So our realized profit loss was $697. So that's like 6%, I believe, over 2 years, which 6.97%, which isn't great, but it's profit. So, so yeah, our profit trades were 22, our loss were 10. So, so yeah, not too bad, it looks like. Cool. And here's our equity graph, which this is what you want to see, is a line going up like this with not too many losses. So this is where I believe our exit indicator helped us, was that it kept us from losing too much on those 1.5 ATR stop losses, which helps greatly with your equity curve. Otherwise, we'd have dips, like on this one, clear down, back to here, and you're starting back at square one again. So that exit indicator helps us greatly. Now, if we would have used proper risk management, we probably would have made a lot more profit here. But I was just doing mini lots to save time. But we probably would have made more profit here because as our equity would grow, our position size would grow. So that would help us out greatly. So overall, though, not too bad. So yeah, do you guys have any questions? If you do, go ahead and type them in the chat, and I'll see if I can answer them. If not, you're welcome to drop off. I'm done for now. That's kind of just what I wanted to go through, was do an algo from start to finish and see what happens. So again, if you have any questions, hit me up in the Discord. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. If you guys are looking for Soft4FX, there's a link in the description of this video to download a demo or buy it. It is an affiliate link, so just disclaimer there. But I would appreciate the help. Sure, Anderson, go for it. Thanks, Troy. Thanks for stopping by. Setting on my Attar, let's see here. I believe I changed the sensitivity on it to 100. Yeah. So here's my settings. Set it 100, 30, 15, and 15. The 30, 15, and 15 are default settings. So I changed the 100, I believe by default it's like 180, which from my testing I think is a little too sensitive. So, or maybe I'm not sure how that number works, if going up is more sensitive or less sensitive. But I know there was a reason I lowered it. Can't exactly remember why, but I don't actually use Waddah Attar for an indicator anymore. I use better volume. So yeah. Mine isn't. Mine is oh, Lucas, you were answering Anderson's question. Okay. I thought you were saying the default Waddah Attar is 100, but mine isn't. Mine is actually like 180 or something. So while I'm waiting to see if you guys have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and export this info. Just going to do a snip here. Or graph. Any baseline indicator recommendation? Well, it seems like the one we used worked pretty well, which was the 50. It's mega trend, but it's whole moving average. There's the same thing, I believe. I'm fairly certain from when I've tested them, they're the same thing. But yeah, we use mega trend. I know some people in the Discord have been using crap, what was it? Kijin Sen. I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but some have been using that. Yeah. Any moving average though. Where can I get range factor from? I will post the indicator in the Discord, Mike, and I will actually, if you want to DM me your username or just DM me after this, I'll attach it to a message to you too, so that you have it. But yeah, you can, if you search for it in the Discord, it's in there, but I'll add it so that it's near the top. So I guess where we might want to go with this now, and maybe we'll do another video on it, is use this same algo, but make sure that we're using the correct risk management in this one. And then maybe tweak some of these indicators to see if we could have gotten in on some of these trades. Tweak our rules a little bit. Because like right here, if you guys look at this, I don't have a drawing tool, but this trade right here, this is a perfect example of where we probably would have had a winning trade if we could have got in, but we weren't getting our signals here. Our range factor wasn't lining up, and neither were our WAE. So now that could, I mean, maybe we use a different indicator, maybe we use different settings on these. That's just something you've got to play with. I mean, overall, we've got a profitable algo here, so any of you guys could use this, and use it as a baseline and build off of it, make it better, and could have something good here. Good sites to download indicators, Daniel. So if you look in the indicator links channel, the sticky post in there has a bunch of sites on it. I think there's like 4 or 5 sticky posts in that channel, and there's also the links channel, which is in the first section. That also has some sites to download indicators from. There's a ton in there to get started. You can also ask in the Discord, and someone should be able to help you. So since this was a public webinar, I'm going to go ahead and post the rules to this algo that we created in the completed algos channel. So you guys have all the rules for it. I'll post the indicators that we used. everything like that. So you guys can improve on it, use it as a baseline, whatever. That way, you guys have a starting point. I think a lot of people get overwhelmed where they don't quite know where to start. And so I found keeping it simple is the best. As you can see, I mean, we've got 2 off-screen indicators here and then just some HMAs that cross. And that was our algo. I mean, it's pretty simple, but it made us money. So simplicity definitely has a lot to do with it. Cool. Well, if no one has any questions, then I will go ahead and end this. Anderson, yes. So entry, let me go ahead and pull the rules up here. I wrote the rules down. So entry was, oh crap, where did they go? Right here. Okay. Maybe. Okay, right here. So our entry for a long position was when, so for our baseline, price had to be above the 50 HMA, and then the 7 HMA would cross up over the 50. So now our 7 HMA is green, our 50 is white, and then our 21 is blue. And that the 21 was used as our exit indicator. So when the 7 crossed back over the 21 is when we would exit. So with a short position, our baseline was the 50, so price had to be below the 50. The 7 HMA crossed below the 50. And yeah, that was our entry. Cool. Well, if anyone has any other questions, just hit me up in Discord. You can DM me, tag me, whatever. And see, Anderson, with a combination of confirmations with the range and volume levels, right? Yes. So all my rules are right here, which I will post this in Discord. But in order to take a long, we had to have that 7 HMA across the 50. We had to have a green bar above the moving average in the WAE. And then we had to have the purple line cross over this top blue line. And all of that had to happen within one candle of our first signal, which was the 7 crossing the 50. So yeah, and then short would just be opposite for all of those. Cool, guys. Well, thanks for watching again. Subscribe, like this video. I'll make some more and we will go from there. Thanks, guys.